Hey, hey, hey. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all here again. I hope you can hear me. Yes, you can. I can see my meter flicking. So here we are again. Welcome to Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. This day in Elvis history, Elvis photo of the week, song of the week, cold shower photographs, poll results, just everything Elvis. Come on, let's put our blue suede shoes on and board that plane. Walk in Memphis. Yes, just approaching 1:30 p.m. in Memphis. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Hi to Maxine. Wonderful. No, wait a second. I was thinking of a name for Maxine earlier on. Marvelous Maxine and Dynamic Dave. They are my moderators. So Marvelous Maxine and Dynamic Dave. What do you think of that? I just thought of that off the top of my head. If anybody would like to give them a better name than that, but I think Dynamic Dave is good, and Marvelous Maxine. I just want to mention Karen Tranter before we go any further. She sent me a message saying, "Hi, Steve." I think Earl had mentioned this earlier on as well when we were waiting to come on live. I've just got back from hospital. I had complications with COVID. I don't know how long I've been in hospital. It's all a bit of a blur. I'm sure it is, Karen. I want to thank you and your subscribers and give them best wishes. They mean a lot. Well, you mean a lot to us as well, Karen. And she says, "Back to sleep now, exhausted. Thank you again, and everyone stay safe and take care." So I sure I speak for everyone on here that says if when you do watch this on playback, Karen, which I'm sure you will, all the best to you and hope for a speedy recovery. I'm going to make another announcement as well. We're changing the broadcast schedule of this channel a little bit. And basically what I am going to say to you is that I am going to pause the live shows on Wednesday, not Sunday. I'll still be broadcasting live and doing the the fan quiz of the week and all those other things that we do on a Sunday, but I'm actually pausing the Wednesday live shows for a little while. And I'll tell you the reason why is because I work full time, so I've got a full time job, and I put a lot of effort into this channel as well, which I don't mind. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but what I found was trying to do 2 live shows a week didn't allow me enough time to concentrate on the interviews that I was doing as well. So that's what I'm going to do. If that's okay, I'm going to pause the live shows on a Wednesday, and I'm going to go back into doing the interviews with people from the Elvis world and so forth. So I'm sure you're going to look forward to that. I've got big plans for this channel for 2022. Also, as well, I'll give you more details on Sunday that I will be doing a Elvis giveaway. Probably 2, actually. I'll be giving an Elvis giveaway and then maybe a runners-up prize as well. What do you think of that? Arkansas Dave says, Dynamic Dave has a ring to it. Well, I'm glad about that, Dave. I'm glad you enjoy that. Dynamic Dave and Marvelous Maxine. So, yeah. So don't think that I'm abandoning this channel or anything like that. I'm just literally changing the focus slightly, pausing the Wednesday live shows, doing the live shows on Sunday, and then doing more interviews as well, if that's okay. So don't think it's the show is ending or anything like that. Far from it. I'm just tweaking it a little bit. And Lou Dane says, "That's okay, Steve. We understand and appreciate. Thanks very much." Yeah, I just, I just wanted people to be assured that, yes, the broadcast schedule is changing and things like that. The material is slightly changing, but everything else is going to remain the same. Live shows on a Sunday and more interviews and so forth. And Chris says, "I love your interviews, Steve." Yes, and I love doing them, and I love bringing them to you. And unfortunately, with me doing 2 live shows a week and then doing work as well full time, I was finding it difficult to arrange the interviews. So, yeah. Hi, Banjo Paul. I saw Michelle, Elvis Lass, on a few minutes ago. Congratulations, Michelle, on your milestone. I think it's 25,000 subscribers. Well done and well deserved. And I'm sure that Michelle will agree with me when we say that it's all for Elvis. And it makes our hearts glad when we see that it's appreciated, especially the work that Michelle does. Michelle puts an awful lot of work into her channel. And as I say, well deserved. So, I don't know whether Dan O'Malley is watching, but because Dan won the prize for Fan of the Month last month, and Dave donated the prize, and we were actually doing a bit of a track and trace on it. Michelle, thanks for the hearts, Michelle. Me and Dave were doing a bit of track and trace on your prize, and it is in England, so it should be with you very, very shortly. So let us know, Dan, actually, when you get your prize. I've seen it. Dave showed me what it was, and it's very, very tasty. Elvis Lass says all for Elvis. Yeah, it always is. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into the topic. Don't forget, we've got things coming up like This Day in Elvis History, Song of the Week, the poll results, and all those things, and much, much more. Dave says we understand. Yeah, I mean, it's only a tweak. It's nothing major. It's just a tweak, and there probably will be a time when the Wednesday shows will come back, and just, let's just keep moving and tweaking things and all those sort of things. The topic is Elvis's 14th movie, and of course, I've got to get up some pictures. You're going to love these pictures. Elvis's 14th movie, Kissin Cousins, 1964, American musical, Panavision, Metro Color comedy film, directed by Gene Nelson, and of course starring that man that's on the screen now. The film featured Elvis playing two roles, an Air Force officer with dark hair, and his look-alike hillbilly distant cousin with blonde hair. Elvis was Josh Morgan, Jody Tatum, Arthur O'Connell as Pappy Tatum. Excuse me. He also featured in Follow That Dream, Arthur O'Connell, Glenda Farrell as Ma Tatum, Pamela Austin as Selena Tatum, Cynthia Pepper as Midge, WACPFC. I'm going to clear my throat. Yvonne Craig as Azalea Tatum. Now, the plot was the US federal government has run into a dead end trying to negotiate the lease of mountaintop land owned by Pappy Tatum. Wow, look at that shot of Elvis. In the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, for use as ICBM missile base. US Army General Alvin Dunford gives Captain Robert Salbo 7 days to secure the lease or face permanent assignment to Greenland. After a quick computer search of military records, Salbo requests the U.S. Air Force pilot Samuel Lieutenant Josh Morgan, obviously that's Elvis, Second Lieutenant Josh Morgan, born elsewhere in the Great Smoky Mountains, be assigned as his number 2. When they arrive in Tennessee with the small platoon, dark-haired Josh is surprised to meet his look-alike third cousin Jody Tatum, a blonde hillbilly. Josh also meets two beautiful country cousins, Azalea and Selena. We've got photographs of those later. Who compete to win his affections. Josh eventually chooses Azalea and pairs off Selena with his friend William Bailey, Master Sergeant William Bailey. Jody, on the other hand, falls for Private Midge Riley, played by Cynthia Pepper. I actually spoke to Cynthia Pepper on this channel, and I will actually link below a copy to or a link so that you can click on it to the interview I did with Cynthia Pepper. Lovely lady. She's a beautiful but fiery soldier. There is also a group of 13 mountain maidens called the Kitty Hawks who create havoc when they set their sights on the marriage-eligible soldiers. Josh persuades Pappy Tatum to lease the mountaintop to the government for a monthly payment of $1,000. That's $8,300 today. As long as an access road is built from the far side of the military to provide security to prevent government employees from accessing Tatum's side, which will prevent revenors, as it's pronounced, from interfering with Pappy's moonshining. Right. So, the production. While set in the Smoky Mountains, the film was shot in Los Angeles, both on set in the MGM studios and outdoors in the San Bernardino Mountains, actually, east of Los Angeles. Some filming took place in Big Bear Lake. The film, produced by Sam Katzman for Four Leaf Productions and was distributed in the United States by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. The film was released in the United States on March 6th, 1964, and reached 11 on the Variety National Box Office chart, earning $3 million, and finished number 26 of the year in list of the top grossing movies in 1964. Now, Elvis's film Viva Las Vegas, filmed during the summer of 1963 before Kissin Cousins, but was released after Kissin Cousins. Both Arthur O'Connell and Jack Albertson were cast alongside Elvis. Now, reception, what did the critics say about it? Howard Thompson of the New York Times wrote, "With the flavour of Fun in Acapulco, and that it was fairly fresh, Elvis Presley's movie status takes a nosedive in this latest movie, Kissin Cousins. Sam Katzman's production is tired, strained and familiar, even with double-barreled Elvis." Variety wrote, "The new Elvis Presley concoction is a pretty dreary effort, one that certainly won't replenish his popularity." Okay. Well, okay. In 1988, Kissin Cousins made its home video debut, released on VHS, when it was released in 1997. The song Smoky Mountain Boy was deleted. It was later restored to the film when it made its DVD debut in 2007. Now, the recording sessions took place at RCA Studio B, which is odd because a lot of his recording sessions were for the movies was done at radio recorders. The sessions were May 26th and 27th and September 29th and 30th, 1963. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Top LP chart. The album was certified gold on March 27th, 1992. Since the sessions for Viva Las Vegas had gone way over budget, released after but completed before Kissin Cousins, as I'd already said, Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, determined for fiscal prudence to have the songs recorded at Studio B, away from Hollywood and its distractions and its platoon of availables on-call musicians. Demand for songs to fill long-playing albums, by now a regularity of the EP single, was becoming less and less a viable sales item. So the content, as had happened with the soundtrack of Fun in Acapulco, 2 additional tracks, Echoes of Love and It's a Long Lonely Highway, were taken from the aborted Lost Album sessions of May 1963 and added here to bring the running order up to 12 tracks. 3 selections, Once Is Enough, One Boy, Two Little Girls, and the single were on the 1995 soundtrack compilation Command Performances, The Essential 60s Masters. So, let's have a look then. What do you think, as far as I asked you what the poll the which was your favourite song, and I put Kissin Cousins, Smoky Mountain Boy, Catching on Fast, One Boy, Two Little Girls, and Echoes of Love. Now, I did miss out a few of the ones because there's only 5 that you can put on the poll, and some people were saying, where's Tender Feeling? I purposely left off Tender Feeling to get a little bit of discussion going and some comments and so forth. Rory Grant says, very few of the EP's film songs do anything for me, so I think I'll pass on this one. Fair enough. Jeanette, this one of my favourite films, as much as I love to see 2 of Elvis... No, hang on, I'll start that again. This is one of my least favourite films. As much as I love to see 2 Elvises on screen, it must have been so frustrating for him to make these type of ridiculous films, okay? But he had to have known that the fans loved him. Well, we did, yeah. The ballads on this soundtrack are what make it good. Echoes of Love, Anyone, and Tender Feeling are all beautiful. Bossa Nova Baby says, I voted for Echoes of Love, but I also like Barefoot Ballad. Jonathan Ortega, Catching on Fast is good, but my top are Tender Feelings and Gold in the Mountains. Chris R. Student, hi Chris, says, but to pick one of the choice, she says, I think I would go for Kissin Cousins, a bit more upbeat. For me, it has to be Tender Feeling. Again, his velvet smooth voice, it makes my heart melt. So she's kind of saying Kissin Cousins and Tender Feeling. Anthony Kiola says Tender Feeling would be my pick. I feel like I'm in an English country garden when I listen to it. As for the movie, not a favourite, and that blonde wig looks ridiculous. Yeah, it's not sort of top notch, is it? But of course, it was 1963. Now they'd be able to sort of CGI a wig onto somebody. Jan Tonen says once is enough. Mrs. EAP Elaine says, like many other Elvis devotees, I chose Tender Feeling. Sends shivers, beautiful song with feeling and perfect pitch. Could imagine me melting in front of Elvis as he sings his song. Looking forward to the show. Take care. Thanks very much, Mrs. EAP Elaine. Neil Lancaster. Hi, Neil. Good to see you. Says, Anyone. Best track on the soundtrack album. Tony Batley absolutely has to be Tender Feeling. His voice and guitars have the ability to make me weep. Wow. Jack Mullins says, how is Tender Feeling not on the list? Well, I've just explained that, Jack. Why? Sam says, I voted Echoes of Love, best song for me. Dennis Brayboy. Steve, I got to go with Smoky Mountain Boy because I am one myself. Elvis Lass, Michelle, says Tender Feeling for me. She just loves it. Brian Monkman, my first favourite song for Kissin Cousins is Smoky Mountain Boy. There's Gold in Them Mountains, Once is Enough, and Kissin Cousins. Well, that's quite a few there, Brian. Alice Cox says, this movie was stupid. Okay. I've got some answers, actually, for Alice. Elvis Presley and the legend TCB always says, maybe, but it still had Elvis in it, and that's all that matters. True. Meganonki says, without these movies, Elvis not going outside of North America, this was the only chance for the rest of us for the world to see Elvis. I agree. Elvis Lass says, it's a fun movie. I love it, but each to their own. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Mike Bell says that the song in this movie are not much better than the King did his best and always like going to one of his movies. Jim Tyler says there's a fair case to be made that Kissin Cousins is objectively dumb movie, and frankly, where was it screened? At the drive-in and probably in a double features, but it had Elvis in it, and it's a worthwhile observation. It would have sunk without trace without him being in it. So that's very well said, Jim. It probably would have. Okay, let's have a look. I'll speak to this caller before I show you the results of the poll. Hi, Mark. Good evening.
Hi, Steve. All right.
Oh, yeah. Where are you? You sound like you're aboard a ship.
Yeah, I'm just driving at the moment.
Oh, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
How's things?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
What do you think of Kissin Cousins?
Kissin Cousins. I like the soundtrack, but I think it was the start of the downfall of the movies. Yeah, well,
it was it was sort of the first of the quickies, wasn't it? It was only filmed in 18 days, I think.
Yeah. The scenery and surroundings weren't the best. You could tell it was only shot quickly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sam Katzman. Yeah. Sam Katzman was known as the king of the quickies for sort of churning out movies at low budget.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. You could, he always played again a decent part. For what he had to do. I think the blonde Elvis bit in parts was a bit strange because you could tell it weren't him with the turnarounds with the standing.
Yeah, The end sequence, you could see it was Lance Legault, not Elvis.
Yeah.
But they did their best for 1963, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, they did. You got to consider the year it was made. Yeah, of course. But the soundtrack was quite strong. Yeah, my favourite song I probably would say would be Kissin Cousins.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there is some good ballads as well, I know, but I just think that's quite a good, catchy tune.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right.
All the best. Thanks for calling in.
And you, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. That was nice of Mark to call in, even though he was actually driving. Drive safely, Mark. Yeah, so here we go. I'm going to show you the the poll. Then we'll have a look at Cynthia and Yvonne and so forth, because they were very, very easy on the eye, definitely. Right, here we go. So we, again, quite a strong winner there. 57% Kissin Cousins. Although I would have said that Tender Feeling would have given Kissin Cousins a run for its money. Interestingly, Echoes of Love, which was a bonus track and wasn't even in the movie, 21%. Wasn't recorded for the movie. Recorded, as you know, as they say, it was for a studio album. Catching On Fast, only 5%. Smoky Mountain Boy, 10%. And One Boy, Two Little Girls, 6%. I will tell you my favourite from the soundtrack album later. And it will be my song of the week. That's that out the way. I was going to say something else and it's gone completely out of my head. Yeah, I mean, you know, there was the trick photography in 1963 was a lot more difficult than what it is now. Obviously, technology has progressed so much now that, I mean, we've even seen the deepfake YouTube videos that Luigi Lupo does now on YouTube, where they've put Elvis's face on somebody else's body, and it's near perfect. You know, you can actually see a little bit of the sort of the trickery and so forth. And of course, the voice isn't Elvis's. Of course, what they've done now, Luigi has done, is he's put Elvis's voice singing, say something like After Loving You and all that. So, you know, that is Elvis's voice. So it's getting more, the technology is increasing so well now that, you know, it's, I mean, Mark touched on it there. You can see one of the times when they turn, because when they're doing the Kissin Cousins, one of Elvis's character is facing the camera, the other one has his back, and then they turn like that, and you can actually see when they turn that the person that had his back to you was actually Lance Legault. They didn't lock off the camera in time, but I still say that for 1963 they did it was a good effort. There's some good parts in it. There's this young lady here who plays Midge Riley, Cynthia Pepper. And I interviewed Cynthia for this channel, and I would, as I said before, I will. She was interested in the blonde Elvis. I will link that interview below. And charming lady, lovely to speak to, and that's Cynthia Pepper. And then Yvonne Craig, lovely woman. Again, taken too soon. Actually, Cynthia was big friends with Yvonne, and she's left us now, unfortunately. But again, nice to look at. Nice chemistry between Elvis and Cynthia and Yvonne. And not forgetting the other lady as well. I can't remember the other lady's name. Because my mind has gone blank. Pamela Austin. My mind just went blank. Pamela Austin. Right, so let's do This Day in Elvis History. And, oh yeah, don't forget, Yvonne was Batgirl. There she is as Batgirl. How could we forget that? Okay, right. So This Day in Elvis History, and I've got pictures for This Day in Elvis History. 1955, Elvis performed at this. Well, Elvis and the Boys, Scotty and Bill, performed at the City Auditorium, Clarksdale, Mississippi. This marked a 2 weeks touring with Jim Ed and Maxine Brown, booked by Bob Neal. 1957, Elvis started with his first session in 4 months at Radio Recorders. RCA had been anxious for some time to get new material for both a single and a gospel EP, but Elvis had been unwilling to record in Nashville. He worked from noon to 7 p.m. In completing 5 songs, including Don't Be Cruel. That's wrong. That is wrong. Whoever typed that is wrong. He recorded Don't Be Cruel in 1956. What I should have said was All Shook Up and I Believe. So that's a typo. 1960, let's get that up. Elvis, Joe Esposito, Cliff Cleaves, Lamar Fike traveled to Paris. During this visit, they attended a karate class given by, and I can't actually pronounce this, but I'm going to give it a go, Tetsuji Murakami, a Japanese teacher of the Shotokan technique. I think I did pretty well there. During this trip, Elvis went to see the American Golden Gate Quartet, to whom he had been reintroduced in Germany by Charlie Hodge. After the show, he sat backstage with the group, happily singing one gospel after another. I'd say Elvis was in his element doing that. This is a nice shot as well. On January the 12th, 1964, Elvis arrived on his motorcycle at RCA Studio B in Nashville at 6:30 p.m. Look at that shot. He started off his 5-hour session by sending out for a takeout for burgers and fries and so forth. After re-recording Ask Me and Memphis, Tennessee from the May session, he delivered a moving performance of It Hurts Me. This ballad would remain a personal favourite for several years. There you go. And what a shot that is. What a fantastic shot that is. 1970, still rehearsing on Sunset in Las Vegas. Elvis worked every night except for Sunday for 5 nights. Generally, he arrived at the studio around 7 p.m. and worked for 5 or 6 hours. Wow. 1972, Elvis flew to Los Angeles. 1973, yes, 1973. We all know what was happening in January 1973. On this special day, Elvis attended an extra rehearsal at the International Convention Center Arena in Honolulu, Hawaii, to check out some technical difficulties. He would perform on stage with a long runway extending out into the audience and a great flashing figure of Elvis as a backdrop. Look how different Elvis's hair looks in the rehearsal concert, the Aloha from Hawaii rehearsal concert. You can see why he had Patty Parry come in and give it a cut. He wasn't happy with it when he looked it back on the monitors. The show started at 8:30 and this was billed as the dress rehearsal and taped in case there were problems with satellite transmission the next night. No admission was charged, but contributions were expected and a goal of $25,000 for the Quee Lee Cancer Fund had been announced. Now we know, and Elvis said this at the show, that they'd actually raised $75,000. And the target was $25,000. Elvis fans never, ever disappoint, do they? In 1974, Elvis flew to Los Angeles. Will I do the pick of the week? Yes, I will. I'll do the pick of the week and then I'll do my song of the week. And you ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans, you are in for a treat. And the reason why you're in for a treat is because I've got 2 picks of the week. I've got a cold shower photograph supplied by Magnificent Maxine. Okay, Max, yours is coming up now. And then I've also got one from Kissin Cousins. So I'm going to show Maxine's first. Maxine said, sent me some photographs and said, would these be any good for cold shower? And I said, yes, certainly. And this is one of the ones I picked. I'll just leave that there, basically. Yeah, I mean, completely topless, looking absolutely fantastic, and the pants are quite tight. So, Jeff Davison says rehearsal hair. Yeah, I agree. Rehearsal hair. That's what you say. Maxine says Super Steve. Yes, I agree. A Hawaii concert from Elvis in 1973 is the best ever. Elaine says, wowzer. Cold showers, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, well picked as well, Maxine. And I've got another pick coming up in a minute, but I'll just want everybody to feast their eyes on that. As my wife said when she saw the 1968 comeback special. I mean, she's not a big Elvis fan, but she actually said after the 1968, because we went to the movies to see it when it showed there a few years ago. She said he was a fine specimen. Priscilla says, "Be still my beating heart." Very good selection of Elvis Maxine. Okay, I'll just pull that off for a second. That's your new name, Super Steve. Thanks, Max. Elvis's body peaked in Fun in Acapulco. Right, now, this is my favorite picture from Kissin Cousins. And just to set the scene, ladies, you're at a bar or a nightclub or you're in a coffee shop or something like that. And then you look up and you see this staring across the room at you. Now, look at that. Look at that smoldering, those eyes burning into you. So as I say, you're sat in a coffee shop, you're sat in a bar, a restaurant or so forth, maybe with a lady friend, and then you look up and you see that. Soon as I was sifting through the Kissin Cousins publicity photographs, studio shots and so forth, and as soon as I saw that, I thought, yeah, let's ask the ladies what they think of that. I've spit my drink, Steve, says Elaine. Chris says she'd be on the deck. Gracie says, oh my goodness. Carol says he don't look happy. Well, he's just, I need sniffing salts. That's how he looks at me in my dreams. Yes, I'm sure he does, Danielle. Yes, great. The face of a demigod. You're so right, Paul. Yeah. I think even with me being a man, a red-blooded male, if I looked up and saw something like that looking at me in a bar or something, I'd faint. I mean, it's just it's nearly criminal how good Elvis Presley looked. 99.9% of the time. It's nearly supernatural that he looks like that. Earl says, I sent Michelle and Leslie a very cold shower pic. Okay, well, Earl, maybe you should send it to me and I'll throw it up here. Chris says, is that washing up done? Yeah, come on, Banjo Paul, jump to it. I think I've got washing up to do after the show as well. Yeah, Dave, piercing eyes, great eyes. But I mean, there's a little bit of mischievousness in those eyes if you look at it, I think. Somebody said he didn't look happy, but it's almost like hey babe, I'm looking at you. Yeah, Megan Nonke says, I'm male and he was unbelievably handsome. Yeah, I mean, I've often said this many, many times. Even, a straight, heterosexual, when they look at Elvis Presley, they just know that there's something special, extra special about the man. Not just his looks, but people that knew him, his personality and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you'd be fibbing, you'd be lying if you said that it wasn't something extra special about his looks, and an incredibly handsome man as well. So don't forget, if you missed the start of the show, I was explaining to everybody that the broadcast sort of format of this show is changing slightly from this week. This is the last live show I'll be doing on a Wednesday for a while. I'm pausing the live shows on a Wednesday. I'm still doing live shows on a Sunday, so don't worry. And it's just going to allow me to start up the interviews again with the people from the Elvis world. Hopefully I've got a few lined up. I just need to confirm them. So, we're just changing the focus slightly. There's just live shows now on a Sunday, and then Elvis people interviews and so forth, and book reviews and things like that. Because unfortunately, doing 2 live shows a week, I was finding it difficult to fit in the interviews as well. So I thought, what I'll do, I'll keep the 1 live show and then do the interviews as well. So that's just in case you didn't see that at the start of the show. Right, my song of the week from the movie we've just been talking about, Kissin Cousins, was written by Bernie Baum, Bill Grant, Florence Kay. The trio wrote a lot of songs recorded by Elvis. The backing track was recorded on September the 29th, 1963, and Elvis recorded his vocal on October the 10th. Now, that's what happened for the whole of the soundtrack recordings, was for Kissin Cousins and later ones, and I'll explain those when we get to them in a few weeks' time, was the band did the backing tracks, then Elvis came in and did the vocal on top of it, and that's what he did with this. I think it's the best song on the soundtrack, superb vocal, and it is Tender Feeling. And that's what a lot of other people said. Even though it wasn't on the poll, they said Tender Feeling is just a great... And it's got that shades of Shenandoah as well. So it's just great. It really is. And as I say, I will put a link below. I'm also going to put a link below for my interview that I did with this lady, Cynthia, who was in Kissin Cousins. If you didn't catch that the first time round, I will put a link for it below. Lovely lady, beautiful lady, actually, really, really nice looking as well, still very, very nice looking. And there she is with Elvis. There you go. Told you she was nice looking, didn't I? And Elvis, nice looking as well. Let's go back to one of those cold shower photographs, will we? This was the one that Maxine chose. Good choice. And then this one as well. If you saw him looking across a crowded room at you, what would you do? Priscilla says we can still chat on Sunday. Correct? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, and I'm only pausing the lives on Wednesday. There could be a time when I will go back to Wednesday and Sundays and things like that. If I'm struggling to get interviews for a week or two, I can always do a Wednesday show, and I'll always let you know by posting on the community tab and sending pictures on Facebook and things like that. So I'll keep you updated. But I'm not going away. Don't worry about that. Thanks for joining me again tonight. It's been fun. And I hope you can join me live on Sunday. I'll have news of an Elvis giveaway on Sunday. So that'll be of interest if you want to win a nice Elvis prize. And it is a nice Elvis prize. And also we'll be discussing the next Elvis movie on the list, which is Viva Las Vegas. This Day in Elvis History, Elvis Photo and Song of the Week. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you Sunday.